So in conclusion, when I talk about having it all, I want to say more about it. What is it? It's actually about having all of me. And it's about you having all of you. So much of us get separated off in trauma. The deep disappointment of not having received what we needed to receive when we were children. The world being harsher and more brutal than we wanted it to be. As children, we come in as these bright lights, as this embodiment of innocence, and we love everyone and everything. And we're taught to discriminate, we're taught to dislike, we're taught to judge, and we're taught to hate. And with each moment where we have either been hit physically, verbally, emotionally, sexually, disciplined too harshly, told that we're not this or we're expected to be that, then we lock a little bit more of our essence away. And so having it all is about recovering. Recovering and reviving parts of us that died, parts of us that became lost in the disillusionment of early childhood and growing up. Parts of us that became lost in hatred. Parts of us that believed that we could never recover, either from a difficult childhood, or from violence, or from sexual abuse, or from the harshness of the world around us. And so having it all is about having all of us, our complete selves, our own magnificence, our own radiance, our own innocence. And so success, however you want to define that, can never be complete without a spiritual component. And the spiritual component also has a psychological component. It's about doing important foundational work, finding the parts of ourselves that are lost. Some people are trying to resolve all of their issues through transpersonal work, through meditation, through spending time with their guru, through consistently thinking of God and the light, which is an important part of our individual work to have that spiritual connection. However, very often the split from the wounded child, from the shamed individual, becomes deeper and greater and wider. And then we wonder why our relationships are not working for us, because the heart is missing. And so having it all is about having all of us. It is about the realization of our own magnificence, our own exuberant, effervescent life force. Throughout my life, I've had experiences that have been very intense, either spiritual experiences, encounters with what one might call God, encounters with the world of spirit. And in the near-death experience that I spoke of on another video, that magnificence was affirmed, for I emerged with a broader, greater perspective of awareness that I could call God if I wanted to, in which I experienced how each and every individual, every human being, is not only loved, and loved was such an impotent word, it had no meaning there, but words like cherished, adored, exquisite, precious. These are words that barely describe that experience. And so inside each and every one of us, inside of you, inside of me, and each person has it, is a magnificence that is waiting to be expressed. Waiting to be expressed. And from what I saw, from what I experienced, in that merging with that broader, greater awareness where I experienced all time and all things all at once. There is no way in which that magnificence is expressed that is better than another. Meaning there are no tasks, there are no things that are more spiritual or have more value to God than anything else. And so if the expression of your magnificence is through baking the world's best cupcakes, then that is that. Because in that magnificence comes the generosity to share that which gives you joy. And when you are joyful, that gives other people permission to be joyful. And that is true abundance. Abundance is not measured in pounds, shillings and pence, or dollars and cents, or yen, or bolivars, or whatever currencies that there are out there in the world. That is one way of measuring them. But true abundance is allowing our magnificence, true magnificence, to shine. That's not convincing yourself that you're very good at something. Magnificence is an inner light. It is an inner light that is authentic. It is authentic. And that authentic inner light, which is deep within the heart and also buried deep within our belly, has no opinions. The heart has no opinions. Opinions are a function of the mind. And so when we are in our magnificence, we are in awe of the magnificence of others. We don't try to be better than others. We simply are owning the essence of who we are. And so for me, that is having it all. Having it all is having all of ourselves. And so the rich, deep, authentic part of ourselves is the magnificence that we came into being for. We came into being to announce ourselves in our own magnificence, to unfold our own magnificence, to express our own magnificence. Not to convince ourselves and others how good we are. Not to stand in front of the mirror and saying, yeah, you're great, you can do it. But to do the work that is required to, as Rumi talks about, ours is not to seek love, but to seek all the barriers that we have held against it. To do the inner work that we need to do in order to dissolve every barrier that we have put up against our own magnificence. And why do we do that? Because as human beings, we consistently choose long-term suffering in favor of short-term pain. And so techniques and modalities and methods and what else can I call the motivational speaking sells very well. It's a pain-free antidote. So what is standing between you and your magnificence? It's not a thought. It is at the essence of who you are. And where is your essence? Where is your essence? And in most human beings, our essence is locked away under layers of shame and guilt and self-hatred. And that is the invitation. That is my invitation. That is my invitation to meet that. And sometimes we fear that that might even kill us, that we might die. And what I say to you is the only thing that will die is everything that you have constructed to keep all of that in place. And so I say die. Let it die. And what is left over? The light and the truth of who you are. That is what's left over. And then you have everything.
Thank you, Shivasti.
You're welcome.